Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Heavenly Father's only begotten Son, who this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and Rakakodash is the true name of the Holy Spirit. Rakakodash meaning spirit holy in Paleo-Hebrew, and Bahashem is a phrase in the Paleo-Hebrew language meaning in the name, and of course the Paleo-Hebrew language. And as usual, I want to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders, especially of Great Millstone, who rule and teach a 100% truth wealth, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect. And as usual, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai are the one and only true names that we are to be calling on in these perilous times in order to be eligible to receive salvation. Alright, still like you for the interruption, but today I pretty much just want to go into a quick lesson titled Turkey's first icbm. All right, more so really an update. Okay, all right. So here, all right. This is Bricks News. Turkey unveils its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Okay, hey, all right. So that's the first. Okay, and of course I got an article here. All right, for because that's just a single sentence. So let's read this. Okay, Turkey unveils its first intercontinental ballistic missile. What we know. I can't really spell that. Okay, all right, and of course it's not spelled Turkey, it's spelled Turkey. All right, so yeah, that's a misspelling. All right, but the yield, I'm just gonna call it the yield. The yield ICBM has a range of 6,000 kilometers with a maximum speed of Mach 25. Man, wow, and a payload capacity of 3,000 kilograms. Man, okay. Turkey has unveiled a prototype of an intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM) as part of a push to become self-reliant. All right, so that it's moving away from Babylon and Great America, and we know that's prophesied that's actually going to be on the side of Russia. Okay, and to gain a foothold as a key defense player in the Middle East and among its NATO allies. Okay, the ICBM named Yield, again, I'm just going to call it Yield, meaning lightning in Turkish, and developed by the Defense Ministry's Research and Development Center, was unveiled on Tuesday at the Saha 2026 Defense and Aerospace Exhibition at the Istanbul Expo Center. Okay, why is the okay? So, like, if the interruption, why is this ICBM model significant, and what does it mean for Turkey's defense industry? Here's what we know. Okay, what do we know about the Yield missile, and why is it significant? The Yield has a range of 6,000 kilometers, or 3,278 miles, according to the Federation of American Scientists. All right. Okay, ballistic missiles with a range exceeding 5,500 kilometers, roughly 3,418 miles, are classified as ICBMs. If launched from Turkey, the Yield will be able to hit targets across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Okay, according to the Turkish news agency Anadolu, the ICBM's maximum speed is Mach 25. Wow, which is 25 times the speed of sound. All right, Mach is Mach 1 is just the speed of sound. Okay, Mach 2 is of course just double. All right, and that's how it is. All right, it's just a term they use for the speed of sound. It is full rocket propulsion engine and is fueled by liquid nitrogen tetroxide. Its warhead has a payload capacity of 3,000 kilograms. Turkey has not begun the production of the missile yet. All right, but they have it. All right, essentially. All right. Addressing the expedition in Istanbul on Tuesday, Defense Minister Yasar Gular said, "In this era where economic cost has become an asymmetric weapon, Turkey offers its allies not only weapon systems but also technology and a sustainable security economy." Turkey says the launch of a Turkish ICBM is significant for a number of reasons. Ozgur, I'm not going to say that. Regional director of the German Marshall Fund of the United States think tank told Al Jazeera, "In my view, Turkey does not need ICBMs to deter any immediate security threat it is facing. Therefore, it is not the ICBM, but the capacity to produce it that is significant for Turkey." Barak Yield, an Istanbul-based security and defense analyst, said the Yield said the design of an ICBM was indirectly important for Turkey's civilian space launch efforts, specifically the Delta V program, which is entirely civil and commercial and mandate, and aims to place Turkish satellites into orbit using the country's own rockets. Okay, the physics of reaching orbit and the physics of intercontinental ballistic trajectories are closely related. The technology overlaps in that sense. An ICBM class capability is a natural, if politically consequential derivative of a serious space program. Okay, that said we should be precise about what was actually unveiled at Saha 2026, a concept presented in a mock-up form. There are no confirmed flight tests. Technical specifications remain limited. All right, so they don't know everything, man. Okay, so there could be hidden things about this thing that they don't know, and critical subsystems have not been publicly accounted for in any consistent detail. Okay, even the most likely future test facility at base in Somalia has not been constructed. This is an announced ambition, not a fielded capability. All right, but essentially, they got the blueprints, man. Okay, all right. Ali Bakir, a senior non-resident fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs, said the prototype marks a breakthrough for Anarcha. Okay, this development symbolizes a leap in its missile capabilities and technological advancement, enabling Turkey to join the exclusive ranks of a handful of countries possessing such advanced defensive technologies. Okay, all right, why? Okay, why has it developed yield? The unveiling of the new missile comes amid serious tensions in the Middle East, while a fragile ceasefire, the ceasefire don't even exist. You got freaking America firing at Iran. Meanwhile, you got Trump saying it's still a ceasefire, man. Okay, hey man, you so will straight up lie to your face while he is straight up already doing the thing he said he's not doing, man. Okay, that's how he goes. All right, between the warring sides and the U.S.-Israel war on Iran holds following 6 weeks of strikes, a naval battle is playing out in the Gulf as Tehran continues to block the Strait of Hormuz and the U.S. enforces a naval blockade of Iranian ports. Meanwhile, Israel continues to violate ceasefires, classic Esau, reached in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. In March, when Iran was retaliating against U.S.-Israeli strikes by attacking U.S. military assets and infrastructure in the Middle East, and Karka reported that NATO's air defenses shot down ballistic missiles fired towards Turkey on March 4 and 9. Tehran denied firing any missiles at Turkey and suggested Israel could be behind them as acts of sabotage. All right. In February, just days before the U.S.-Israel war on Iran began, former Israeli Prime Minister uh, Naftali Bennett, whose party is projected to do well in the national election this year, was the later prominent politician to declare Turkey a threat to Israel. Okay, okay. Speaking at a conference, Bennett said Israel must not turn a blind eye to Turkey, accusing it to being a part of a regional axis similar to the Iranian one. All right, according to prophecy, Turkey will be on the same team as Russia and Iran. All right, a new Turkish threat is emerging. Bennett said we must act in different ways, but simultaneously against the threat from Tehran and against the hostility from Ankara. Okay, I'm just kind of let's see. I'm just reading it. Because I think I might have read it enough. Okay, let's see. The yield announcement, he said, is less about a specific threat and more about Turkey declaring that it tends to be the kind of country that cannot be coerced by anyone from anywhere. Okay, all right. So, yeah. So essentially, I think that's enough. All right. But let's get this again. All right, because I kind of searched the comments a little. All right. Why is everyone building and testing missiles? Is there something I'm not aware of? Okay. All right, but that guy asked that, but there is a reason why. All right, because these nations they are preparing for war. Okay, all right, they may not directly say it. All right, but through their actions they show it, man. Okay, all right, Joel 3:9, proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare war. That's what they're doing. They're preparing war. Wake up the mighty men. Let autumn, wind, and war draw near. Let them come up. Be your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. You got these smaller nations saying they're stronger. That they're strong. Okay, all right. All right, you got Iran going up against America, Babylon the Great. Okay, that used to be freaking the top dog, man. Okay, the undisputed top dog. All right, these farming nations, instead of focusing on farming more, now they're opting towards military, man. Now they're opting towards military advancements, military technology. Okay, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Tell the cause thy mighty ones to come down, the Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Okay, For there will I sit to judge of the heathen round about. All right, that's in that Levant region. All right, that Levant um area. Okay. All right, put ye in the sickle for the harvest is ripe, coming ye down for the press is full, the fats overflow for the wickedness is great. Okay, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near the valley of decision. All right, so Lord, He is gathering these nations together, man. All right, okay, He's gathering these nations together. Jeremiah 15:25. The Lord Yahweh hath opened His armory and hath brought forth the weapons of His indignation. All right, for this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts, and the Lamb that Chaldeans. Okay, all right, so we see the Lord's opening His armory, man. All right, and of course, this is the article says it's not there yet, but it says they got a prototype, this and that. All right, but essentially, it's in development, man. Okay, all right, this is in development. All right, and it's soon to come. Okay, or Turkey may already have it, man. All right, because these countries they don't really always share everything, man. Okay, there's still things we don't know, man. Turkey might already have one, man. All right, just in case. All right, but okay, let's get Ezekiel 38. All right, and this is the main reason why I made this. Okay, all right, but the Lord's armies consists of ICBMs, man. That's the main weapon He's going to use. Arrows of His indignation, ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay, Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And that's modern day Russians, okay? And say, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, the Lord is against the Russians and also against the Americans and also against these other nations. He's going to judge them. Okay, the Lord is only for the Israelites, all right? More specifically of the elect of the Israelites, okay? That's who He's for. That's whose side He's on. That's whose side He's on, man. Okay, and the elect are not going to participate in this war. The Lord is going to deliver His elect. Okay, and of course, the elect are also going to get spiritual powers. And as I believe Daniel the 7th chapter says, the saints shall take the kingdom, man. Okay, after this, we're gonna take over the world, man. Okay. I don't want this I will be of that number. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company of bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, all right. Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, which that's Turkey, okay. Gomer and the house of Togarmah, Turkey, man, all right. That's Turkey under north quarters, and all his bands meaning armies, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, why would Russia be a guard unto a nation that's not going to be on their side, man? All right, Turkey is going to come under, the wing, per se, of Russia, man. All right, they're going to turn against Babylon and Great America. All right, and they're no longer going to be allies, man, and of course against Israel too. Yeah, all right, because you got Israel saying, oh, Turkey is a threat. Turkey's not good, man. Turkey bad. All right, so now you got massive distrust between those two, man. All right, and essentially we know that Babylon the Great, it follows Israel wherever the hell it wants, man. Okay, wherever it goes. Jeremiah 49:20. Israel is literally the reason Babylon got dragged into this war in the first place, man, with Iran. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that He hath taken against Edom, and His purposes that He hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Least of the flock being these small hats. Okay. Surely He shall make their habitations desolate with them, man. All right. And America was obviously dragged out to this war because of Israel, man. All right. If you look at last summer, man, you got Israel pretty much begging America, all right, over and over and over to join the war, and to end Iran, and bust their uranium enrichment centers, I believe, with the bunker busters, and eventually, of course, it got Trump. Trump did comply, man. They probably threatened him, all right, all right, but of course, you saw how slow Babylon the Great was, but regardless, man, Israel got Babylon on the leash, man. Okay, all right. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and 29, man. All right, because the time's going to come where all these nations that have these ICBMs will shoot at Babylon the Great America. Okay, they're going to shoot. All right, they're going to shoot and they will not miss. Okay, Jeremiah 15:29. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow. Camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel, man. So all these nations that have these ICBMs, they're going to fire, man. They're going to fire at Babylon and Great America. All right, and the Lord can do amazing things, man. Okay, yes, you could say, well, it doesn't have the range, but well, first off, the article said that there are still some things that remain unspecified, man. And these nations, they don't always actually reveal their full hands, man. Okay, that range could actually be wrong. It could reach Babylon the Great. Not to mention, well, World War III, we're not in the apex yet. All right, there's still time to actually develop a new one. All right, for them to, there's still time for them to develop a new one, man. Okay, this is still the fact that they're developing, man. That they're preparing, man. Okay, there's still time for them to make it even better, to improve it, man. Okay, not to mention the Lord can just boost it, man. All right, he's the Most High, man. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai can just boost these missiles, man, if need be. Okay, they didn't give them the boost they need to get to Babylon the Great America and to do its freaking job, man. Okay, these warheads. All right, because it prophesies 200 million warheads are going to hit America, Babylon the Great. Okay. All right, the Bible says they will not miss, man. All right, the Lord's Spirit will actually, be with them, man. All right, with those missiles, man, and He's going to guide them. Okay, all right, okay. But hey, all these nations that have the bow, all right, meaning essentially these ICBMs, man. Okay, they are going to shoot. All right, all right. Let's see. I believe verse 9 is also the same thing. Nope. I believe it's actually 51 verse 9, right? Nope. All right, Salakia. All ye bend bow. Okay, it's 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon, about all ye that bend the bow. We know that Turkey will turn against Babylon the Great, obviously, because it's going to be under the wing of Russia, who is obviously against Babylon, and Russia is the main. Russia is the main one that's prophesied to take part in Babylon's destruction. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Show that hair spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord Yahweh. Okay. All right. Okay, so hey, all these nations that have it, they are going to shoot, and they're not going to spare any arrows, man. Okay, because that's the fate of Babylon and Great America, man. All right, pure destruction, man. Okay, all right. Bless God, Isaiah 34:5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and actually, let's read verse 4. I know the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and all the in the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. Okay. All right, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. If you look at a mushroom cloud, because that's what it's talking about. It's talking about nuclear explosion. Mushroom cloud, when you see the top part of the mushroom, you see how it rolls into itself like a scroll? That's what it's talking about, man. Okay. All right, so this is actually describing a nuclear explosion, mushroom cloud. Okay. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. All right, in this case, the Lord's sword is the ICBMs. All right, because they're bathed in heaven. All right, they go into space, literally. Okay. All right, they go into low Earth orbit and then they come back down. All right. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. Greek waves in Edom. In this case, in terms of location, the capital of Edom is America. Okay. And upon the people of my curse to judgment. In the NOT, it will fall upon Edom. Okay. The nation I have marked for destruction. Okay. All right. And we know that also, these missiles will also, that Israel will also be, the land of Israel will also be destroyed by nuclear fire as well. Okay. The sword of the Lord Yahweh is filled with blood. All right. And we know that, and for sure, Turkey's missiles can reach that, okay? But mainly this is talking about Babylon and Great America, not Israel. All right, but that's just an extra thing, okay? Israel will also be destroyed by nuclear fire as well, okay? It's going to be the only thing. It's going to be the only nation, other nation on Babylon's side. Okay, the sword of the Lord Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs, and with the goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basra, aka America, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Okay, this one specifically it's talking about Babylon, Great America. Okay, that thing with Israel, that's just an extra thing I said. All right, but yeah, okay. So hey, Lord going to make a great slaughter with these swords, man. All right, with these arrows, man. Okay, and we see that hey, this is just another step closer to World War III. All right, to the apex of World War III. Okay, because hey, they unveiled its first intercontinental ballistic missile, man. We see these nations are developing. Okay, all right. And soon enough, these missiles, they're going to be shot off and fired, okay? But with that, Lord, that was edifying. I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakurash. Shalom, wa abad babal. Shalom.